if you've seen Tron Ares, there's something you might be wondering. What in the virtual heck was that?
What happened back there?
I disobeyed my directive.
After a 15-year wait, Disney's newest grid-based adventure has left a lot of people with more questions than answers. We certainly have a lot of spoiler-iffic thoughts. First things first, we have to talk about that ending. After 110 minutes of sidelining every character from the first two Tron movies not named Kevin Flynn, Tron Ares features a 1-2 punch of callbacks that don't make much sense if you're missing context. As the film wraps up, Ares defeats Athena, and by proxy, Julian Dillinger as well. With the CEO's murderous intentions now out in the open, Julian manages to avoid arrest by putting his 3D printer in reverse and getting digitized. While Eve uses the MacGuffin, sorry permanence code, to make the world a better place, Ares decides to enjoy his newfound humanity by traveling the world. He's not just taking in the sights and local cuisine, though. He's looking for the only other person who understands what it's like to live as a virtual entity in a human world, Cora. In Tron Legacy, Cora is Kevin Flynn's apprentice, and the last of the isomorphic algorithms, a race of AI lifeforms that sprang into consciousness on the grid. In a moment that directly parallels the ending of the 2010 film, Ares gets on his normal, non-light-based bike and rides into the distance in search of an uncertain future. Very cool, very original. While the last pre-credits scene of Tron Ares throws a bone to fans of Legacy, the mid-credits stinger is for the real OGs. When Julian wakes up in the grid his company created, he's presented with an identity disc just like everyone else. But instead of getting a normal disc, or even one that's a cool new shape like Ares or Eve, Julian is given a red glowing frisbee with the target pattern seen in the original Tron. He gets a digital suit of armor that looks a whole lot like the outfit worn by Sark, the original grid's game overseer program created by Julian's grandfather Ed.
You're getting brutal, Sark. Brutal and needlessly sadistic.
Thank you, Master Control.
It's not just a passing resemblance either. Eagle-eyed viewers might have noticed the name Sark within the code that Julian executes to turn his 3D printer into a digitizer. A search for Olivia Wilde and one villain turning into another? That's a kind of ending that screams sequel bait. Unfortunately, when Tron is concerned, that might mean waiting another 15 years. In case you don't want to wait much longer for more Tron content if you will, let's talk about some of the aspects of Ares that really stand out. The world of Tron starts and ends with Kevin Flynn, game developer, CEO, absentee father, and architect of the grid. He's a hero of the first film and a major player in the second. But as you might remember from Tron Legacy, he kind of, died. By reintegrating with his digital doppelganger, Clue, Kevin Flynn sacrificed himself to give his son Sam and his apprentice Cora the opportunity to return to the real world. It's a sad moment, but also a solid ending to Flynn's character arc. Naturally, Tron Ares had to bring him back. There's no concrete reason given for why Flynn is still alive on the 80s grid, but there are clues, pun intended. Flynn's speech that opens the film implies that the version of him we see might be an AI clone of some kind. When Ares expresses a very understandable confusion, the closest thing to an explanation that Flynn provides is that he's a reflection of Ares' presence. Perhaps the closest thing he has to a soul is somehow linked to the world he created, like a spirit trapped in a virtual haunted house or some kind of twisted Tamagotchi. Maybe Flynn's techno-ghost is sticking around because he still has regrets. He tells Ares that if you move fast, you leave stuff behind, which is almost certainly referencing the fact that he missed much of his son's childhood. There's also another possibility, that reintegration isn't as deadly as we thought. Cora says in Tron Legacy that Flynn would never survive the event, but this is a guy with godlike abilities that we're talking about.
Now for some real user power.
Regardless of how Flynn lives, though, we probably won't see him in the next Tron movie. His most recent appearance ends with a symbolic passing of the disc, signifying that the fate of both worlds now rests with Jared Leto. God help us. Tron Legacy ended with the implication that Sam and Cora's story was far from over, but fans of the sequel have been hung out to dry by the threequel. The opening exposition dump of Tron Ares reveals that Sam vacated his position as ENCOM CEO for quote-unquote personal reasons. That's all we get before we're introduced to the Kim sisters and their years-long search for the permanence code. If that's not bad enough, what happens soon after feels like a massive middle finger to the poor Legacy fans out there. After Julian's attempt at corporate espionage doesn't go as planned, he calls in a digital orbital strike that effectively nukes the entire ENCOM grid. And to top it all off, Ares steals Legacy's ending. That's a low blow. If Daft Punk had eyes, they'd be crying right now. At least Sam and Cora actually have their faces in the new movie. Did you remember that Cillian Murphy was in Tron Legacy? He played Edward Dillinger Jr., the son of the first movie's villain who took his talents to ENCOM instead of keeping it in the family. Ed Jr. really isn't seen or mentioned at all in Ares, despite the fact that his annoying nephew is out there playing God with AI. Of course, the most likely explanation for Murphy's absence is the simplest one. He didn't feel like being in the movie. Perhaps he didn't want to be cast as a regretful scientist again. Let's stay on the subject of Dillinger Systems for a moment to talk about the company's rivalry with ENCOM. After Ed Dillinger was ousted from ENCOM at the end of the original Tron, he founded his own company out of spite. Dillinger increased its market share in the 90s, and the ENCOM board felt so threatened by the competition that they fired their interim CEO, Alan Bradley, creator of the Tron program, who replaced Kevin Flynn after his disappearance. Then, of course, Sam assumes control of ENCOM following the events of Tron Legacy. Even though he too disappears, it remains a family business. A different family, but family nonetheless. The Kim sisters keep ENCOM successful, and their bond continues to inspire Eve after Tessa's death. ENCOM and Dillinger are two sides of the same coin. While the Kims' love for each other is what allows Eve to get her hands on the permanence code and heal the world, the Dillingers don't seem to believe in love at all. Even though Julian is the CEO of his grandfather's company, he still lets his mother slap him around. He's a mama's boy through and through, but hey, you probably would be too if your mom was Gillian Anderson.
Julian?
Carry on. Yes.
What are you doing?
Oh, just trying to change the world, Mother.
If there's anything that exemplifies the opposing philosophies of ENCOM and Dillinger, it's the directions they've gone in as corporations. While Dillinger Systems is ostensibly a cybersecurity company, Ares is Gillian's big push into the military-industrial complex. He sells them on his killing machines, pitching them as the future of warfare. Compare this to ENCOM, the world's most popular game development firm, which would much rather put on events like Paranoia Con than take their tech to the battlefield. Let's take a step back, though. Isn't it kind of weird that the two massive companies gunning for the permanence code are a weapons manufacturer and a video game studio? Sure, they have beef that goes back decades, but they couldn't possibly be more different. It's like if Nintendo's biggest rival was Raytheon. It's also strange that the company behind Space Paranoids is the same one that finds a cure to world hunger, but at least they're using technology for good. If there's one thing that Tron Ares definitely has more than its predecessors, it's references.
Sick reference though, bro.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Dude, your references are out of control. Everyone knows that.
The film brings up everything from classic literature to 80s radio hits, but the most obvious allusion is in the title, Ares. As Eve's colleague Seth mentions, Ares is the name of the Greek god of war, who embodies the savage nature required of a powerful warrior. His sister is Athena, goddess of wisdom and the namesake of the AI program's enforcer turned enemy. While Ares claims victory against Athena in the movie, that's not quite how it goes in Greek mythology. In the Iliad, Ares is persuaded to fight for the Trojans until Athena spears him in the gut on behalf of the Achaeans and sends her brother packing. And when he tries to get her back, she smacks him with a boulder and forces their dad Zeus to intervene. Then, of course, it couldn't possibly be a story about a man-made man without mentioning Frankenstein. While combing through the internet at lightning speed, Ares finds himself intrigued by Mary Shelley's novel. He latches onto a specific quote spoken by the monster, "I am fearless and therefore powerful." We probably don't have to spell it out for you why Ares finds this particular line so compelling. It's also pretty self-explanatory why an angry Julian calls his creation Pinocchio after he starts trying to become a real boy. But like it or not, Ares is as close to a real boy as a program can get. Not only is he amusingly self-aware from the jump, but he also finds himself forming opinions and gaining interests.
I like the 80s.
Ares seems to have pretty good taste, as he wastes no opportunity to express his newfound affection for the electronic band Depeche Mode. In fact, he just can't get enough. That's the name of one of their songs for all the Zoomers out there. During his conversation with Kevin Flynn, Ares remarks that he enjoys Depeche Mode because of their balance of technological inspiration and pop hooks. If you think about it, that's also a pretty good description of the Tron franchise as a whole. Whether or not that was the intended meaning of the line, though, Ares is in good company as one of their fans. They've inspired other great bands like The Killers, Linkin Park, and Nine Inch Nails. The last of which, of course, is responsible for Tron Ares' pulse-pounding soundtrack. Okay, if we're going to talk about Tron Ares, we have to talk about its lead actor, the man in the title role, the new face of Tron. Unfortunately, Jared Leto comes with some serious baggage. At one point in time, the 30 Seconds to Mars frontman turned Academy Award-winning actor would have been a completely reasonable, uncontroversial choice to soft reboot a dormant sci-fi franchise. That time might have even been 2016, which was when Disney executives started talking about putting Leto in the next Tron movie.
We've been working on this for 9 years. What's been really cool is taking Tron into the real world.
A lot can happen in 9 years, and over time, Leto's reputation started to decline. Social media users had fun with jokes and memes accusing Leto of being a cult leader for a while, but no one was laughing last June when an expose revealed that 9 women had accused him of sexual misconduct. He denied the claims, but by that point, the Tron train had already left the station. Disney wasn't about to pull their $180 million movie. Purely on a performance level, Leto was perfectly serviceable as Ares. He did win an Oscar after all, even if it was in a role that hasn't quite aged that well, to say the least. The real problem is a cliffhanger ending, which teases a team-up between the heroes of the last 2 Tron films. Only time will tell whether or not the allegations will bring Leto's career to a screeching halt. But judging by Leto's continued involvement with marketing and appearance at the premiere, he hasn't exactly been made persona non grata.
That's why we're here. We love you. That's what.
Thank you.
Thank you for remembering us.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the rest of the cast. Receiving second billing under Leto is Greta Lee, who plays ENCOM CEO Eve Kim. A seasoned film and TV actor with Emmy and Golden Globe nominations to her name, Lee is perfectly fine in the role, although she spends a bit too much time trying to catch her breath. That said, if there's supposed to be some sort of romantic implication between Ares and Eve, it's barely a whisper. It's also a bit odd that Eve's 2 closest associates are played by television comedians, whose big shows have both been off the air for half a decade. Julian Dillinger is played by Evan Peters, who's going for a young, hip CEO type vibe, but leans particularly hard into the young part. It's less his performance and more his appearance, as Julian's aesthetic is giving weirdly tattooed high school senior.
What?
Julian is impulsive, he's reckless, and his ego knows no bounds. If you've seen Alien Earth, he's basically Boy Cavalier. Gillian Anderson does a great job playing Julian's mom Elizabeth because she's Gillian Anderson. If there's anyone in the cast of Tron Ares that truly understood the assignment, it's Jodie Turner-Smith. Ares' second in command and the eventual master controller of the Dillinger grid, Athena comes across as just robotic enough, but with menace to spare. She's a natural on a light cycle. Plus, her eyeliner is on point. Tron is not a series that's known for having a definite future, but the ending in the newest film implies that the wait for the next one might be shorter than 15 years. At the same time, though, it seems to be preparing viewers for its eventual demise. Tron Ares is all about mortality. Even though most of us have been on this earth for much longer than 29 minutes, everyone's clock has to run out sometime. Ares is told over and over by his creator that everything is expendable, that life has no inherent value. It's only when he truly internalizes that this isn't the case that his suit changes from red to light blue and he's able to save the day. Well, technically, AJ, Seth, and Aaron saved the day by shutting down the mainframe. Ares just keeps Athena occupied long enough for her to run out of time and de-res. Ares' big takeaway from the events of the film is, that's the thing about life, there's nothing permanent about it. That goes for film franchises too, as fans of Mission Impossible recently learned for themselves. Is Ares going the way of Ethan Hunt and riding off into a permanent sunset, or can we expect to see him return in 2040? We don't know the answer to that question just yet. But if there's one thing that Tron fans are used to doing, it's waiting.